Of the many off-road trails near Sedona, Arizona, Broken Arrow is one of the most popular. With easy access from downtown, this out-and-back trail is just slightly under 4 miles round trip in length and probably take you about 1 to 3 hours to finish. At the entrance to the trail is a gatekeeper of rock ledge that is intended to gauge whether your vehicle is ready or the driver is ready to tackle this trail. It's not that difficult of a rock ledge, but it definitely does do the trick to help you make sure that you're ready mentally and your vehicle is ready to cross into this trail and enjoy it. While Broken Arrow has a number of features that is suitable for drivers of all skill levels, I highly recommend that if you don't feel comfortable going over that gatekeeper, that you avoid driving this yourself. Shortly after crossing Gatekeeper, you'll encounter a wide expanse of slick rock. If you haven't driven across slick rock before, this is a great area to learn how that feels before you proceed on. Much of the trail is long stretches of sand interdispersed by rock ledges or rocks that you need to cross at different points. None of them are very difficult, and they're a great way to learn the capabilities of your vehicle and how to choose lines for where to place your tires. I realize that some of these clips are heading directly into the sun, which is making it difficult to see, but that's the reality of off-roading sometimes, is you have to be able to maneuver around even when the sun and the glare are not perfect. The next feature we will encounter is a slight left turn off the main trail to a climb up a rock ledge to an area where you could explore submarine rock by foot. I found going up this ledge and coming back down very fun. I enjoyed it both times. I actually went back out and drove it a couple more times. You will see that we go up the ledge first, and then we circle around and then come back down. And at one point, we're following another Jeep as it's coming down. And that's always more fun to watch what others are doing. In my opinion, the Broken Arrow Trail area is great for drivers of all skills. It's a great way to test out your vehicle, to see what it can do, what you can do in it, to learn how to navigate trails and different types of terrain with the slick rock, the ledges, the sand, a little bit of drop-offs. It's a great way to learn how to navigate and enjoy trail riding and off-roading. Not to mention, there's some great views and scenery of the area around Sedona from this trail. I encountered this Jeep 2 or 3 times during the course of going on this trail. I don't know if it's a rental Jeep or if it's just a stock Jeep Wrangler JL, but it was interesting how much they were using their brakes going down the hill. I enjoyed watching them. While these rock ledges may look intimidating, whether you're going up or down, they're not really that bad when you have a Jeep Wrangler. They're very capable vehicles. The more you learn how to handle it and how those vehicles handle the rocks, the better off you'll be and the more comfortable you'll be enjoying rock crawling like this. Now we'll join back up with the main trail and we'll head further on in toward Chicken Point. Much of the trail at this point is just one way, so you won't be encountering Jeeps or other vehicles coming back towards you and have to move off the trail. Sometimes one-way trails can be very intimidating, especially for new off-road drivers. In this case, I think it's really a benefit. The reason why is that it allows you to see how you want to place your tires, where you want to go, what line you want to take on the rocks, while still enjoying some of the scenery around you without worrying whether other cars or vehicles are going to come around the corner and you're going to run into them or you have to back up on a very treacherous slope. So this gives you a good idea of how this trail can be enjoyed. I also believe that this trail can be enjoyed by more experienced advanced drivers too. Anytime they want to test out suspension components or other types of modifications to their Jeep, this is a great area to check that out safely. In the early portions of this trail, there's a lot more sand, as I previously mentioned. It almost seems like they're at the trough of sand where you're driving through. Before encountering some other rock ledges, I had earlier characterized this trail as an amusement ride for Jeeps, and I still believe that way, definitely. It is a fun trail to take. I think anytime I'm going to be going through this town or anywhere near here, I'm going to take the opportunity to take the hour or two to ride out here. The thing is, we're still on the outward bound portion of this trail. Once we get to Chicken Point and start returning, that's when the real amusement ride starts. It should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. I believe the rock formations off in the distance as we continue navigating this trail over the next few minutes are referred to as the Twin Buttes. I'm not sure if it's those two smaller ones right in front of us or if this includes the larger one to the right, but they are very beautiful and picturesque to look at as we navigate this trail. I should mention that the Broken Arrow Trail area is also very popular for hikers, as you can imagine. There are a lot of different hiking trails that are interdispersed throughout the area, and sometimes they do cross the four-wheel drive trail. So I would caution everyone to be on the lookout for hikers as you're driving along. Here's another view of the Twin Buttes just prior to arriving at Chicken Point. Chicken Point is a very large expanse of slick rock that looks out over a valley to the west, or southwest actually, and is very popular for the Jeep crowd as this is the turning point on the trail, and also popular for hikers in the area for pictures and just exploring around this area. Highly recommend going out there and taking a few minutes to explore it if you can. As we leave the Chicken Point area, not to mention looking at some beautiful views of the Twin Buttes again, We begin to double back on the same portion of the trail that we used to come into this Chicken Point area, but only about a half mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile before we get to a point where we have to go left and back on the one way. And that's where the fun really begins. Fortunately, moving in this direction on the trail, we're having much less sun glare on the windshield. And I think that's going to really help to see the beauty and the scenery in this area. The very prominent ridge that we're going to see for the next few minutes in this trail before we get to the one-way turnoff is the Munns Mountain Wilderness Area. It's a beautiful wilderness area, lots of hiking, lots of backpacking back there. The highest peak in the area is over 6,800 foot, referred to as Munns Mountain. Most of the trees you're seeing in this area are juniper, pinyon pine, even some desert cedar trees in this area. As you can see by now, there are very few sections of this trail that are actually level or flat. You're constantly going up and down, left and right, crossing rock ledges, crossing slick rock, going back down into the sand. It just makes for a fun ride. As we turn back onto the one-way portion of this trail, we now are going to encounter much more percentage of slick rock and less sand. It's a very fun portion of the trail. Very much enjoy for anyone driving or riding in the vehicle for this part. You'll begin to see mushroom rock off in the distance. As we wind through on the slick rock to our left and back around, we'll very soon come up right on mushroom rock. Here we are getting ready to drive right around Mushroom Rock. The drive is actually on the top of this high slick rock area and does look intimidating because there are some drop-offs to your right side. But it's really not that bad. It's kind of a fun ride. It's great views. I highly recommend you take the time to go around this also while you're out here. That prominent red rock, long horizontal area there in the front and foreground in the trees, that's submarine rock. You should be able to see submarine rock from various vantage points as we proceed along the trail a little bit further. Now we're getting to the point where we're going to arrive at what is considered by many to be the most difficult and technical challenging portion of this trail, the Devil's Staircase. It's actually a fun descent. where you're crossing the different rock layers, and there's some tight areas of boulders on either side. It should be really fun as we proceed toward that. We're getting ready to come up on an excellent vantage point to view the mountains and the Mun Mountain Wilderness area outside of Sedona. It's just a beautiful vantage point to look at all these mountains. This portion of the trail is basically winding its way around the backside of the Twin Buttes rock formations that we saw earlier on the trail. And it's given a different perspective because we're higher up now on the slick rock plateaus instead of down in the sandy troughs that we saw earlier. We're also circling back around to where you're getting another perspective of the prominent ridge in the Munns Mountain Wilderness. Very pretty area. As we make our way closer to the high point of the Devil's Staircase, you'll see the gray Jeep again up ahead of us, and maybe one or two other Jeeps also. We're starting to group a little bit tighter together as we're maneuvering around the slick rock area. For those that haven't previously driven on slick rock, it's kind of not slick. It's actually a very grippy terrain, and you don't slide around a lot on your tires. Unless it gets wet, it can get a little slick, but it's not exactly what you think. It's a very fun type of terrain and rock to drive over. I probably enjoy driving over slick rock areas in the desert more than any other terrain that I encounter. I remember the first time that I visited a slick rock area. It was in Moab, and I was mountain biking probably 20, 25 years ago. And I was a little freaked out when I was going out on the mountain bike, wondering if my tires will grip this terrain really well or not, or whether I'll be sliding all over the place and falling off. And I was just surprised how well the mountain bike tires really gripped the rock. Now we're catching back up to those Fielder Jeeps that were ahead of us on the trail. For those of you that have never seen the pink Jeeps before, those are from the Pink Jeep Adventure Tours. One of the locations is located in Sedona. They have a very tight relationship with the Broken Arrow Trail Network. And they're actually modified JKs that can seat a number of people in open air. And it's a fun way to ride on these trails. If you don't have a Jeep or if you're not comfortable driving in this area, it's a very fun way to do that with very experienced drivers. So the three Jeeps ahead of us are comprised of the pink Jeep from the Pink Jeep Tour, blue and white Jeep, and then that gray Jeep that we had seen earlier on the trail. It's kind of a mixture. I would suspect that the gray Jeep is a rental or it's just someone visiting from outside the area. I'm not sure about the blue and white Jeep. I don't know if it's heavily modified or not. Doesn't appear to be, but they're starting to get more tightly grouped together as they approach the Devil's Staircase. I was out here, it was about mid-November, and it was midweek, and I suspect that probably contributed to why there were far less Jeeps and far less people on the trail at this time. It was a great time to be there. There was a lot less dust. It could be very dusty. You could be backed up for quite a ways with many vehicles on the trail. So I timed it really well with this time of year. Okay, now we're approaching the top of the Devil's Staircase. The Devil's Staircase is basically comprised of a rather short, steep descent, crossing several ledges of rock, hence the stair stepping. There's a couple areas where you have to avoid some big boulders, especially on the right here. This gives us a good perspective as we watch the other Jeeps to see what it looks like. Earlier on the trail, I mentioned how the gray Jeep seemed to use its brakes quite often. I encourage you to watch how often the brake lights go on in that Jeep. Okay, here he goes. He's putting the brakes. Oh, there you go. I bet that was fun for him. He's having to navigate around those big boulders on the right there. In the shadows here, you can see how much he's utilizing the brakes. He or she are using the brakes going down this portion of the trail. So as he completes the upper portion of this, my reason for pointing out the brakes is that Jeeps are very low geared, especially when you're utilizing the transfer case in 4 high or 4 low and using the gear shift lever in a manual mode. I tend to go down slopes like this, either in 4 high, 4 low. My gear shifts in 1 or 2 as far as the transmission, and I rarely ride the brakes going down. It just gives you far better control as you're letting the vehicle do its job. Even in stock form without a lot of modifications, these Jeep Wranglers are very, very capable vehicles, especially the Rubicon editions. Now we'll begin descending the lower portion of the staircase. It's not quite as steep, and you got a couple spots where you're leveling off, but still can be scary for those that are new to this experience. There's another good view of submarine rock right off in the distance there ahead of you. We're a lot closer to it now than we were earlier. So as we complete our descent of the staircase, we're joining back up with the main trail, and you can see how the gray Jeep stopped, probably shifted out of 4-wheel drive, and look both ways before you turn left to go back toward the entrance. So I appreciate you joining me today in this adventure. I hope this gave those of you who have never been out here a good perspective of the Broken Arrow Trail area and how much fun it can be, and it truly is an amusement ride for Jeeps. As always, thank you for watching my videos.